Alright, well, welcome back to Mrs. Ott's tutorial on how to do the linoleum carving and the printmaking project. So first things first, as to get started, you can do anything you want for this project as long as it's school appropriate. My advice is when you're starting to brainstorm ideas in your brainstorming packet, to start thinking of black and white images, not necessarily like those beautiful rendered drawings with different value shades. So I have some examples for you. Here's what your packet will be looking like. It is a simple 2 pages this time. On this side, you're going to be brainstorming your ideas, and it kind of explains like the history of pop art, and we're going to go over that. And then on this side, it's going to give you verbal instructions, and in this box, we're going to be drawing our final idea on what we're going to be putting on our actual linoleum and using for our project. So brainstorming, final idea, come see me. So I have some examples here for you on different ideas that could be used. So here they are. As you notice, maybe in this video, hopefully if it's not reversed, this S is backwards. So one thing I would like to bring to your attention, they are black and white images, okay? If you want to write, you need to write it backwards. So it looks like it's forward to you guys, but you need to write it backwards. So I have a pretty good example here. Here are some examples of linoleum already carved. There's Spirited Away, there's some Teletubbies, and then I have a nice example of Bob Marley. At the bottom it does say One Love. It is written backwards on the block, so when I look at this it actually is reversed, so E-V-O-L. But I have an example here of why we need to write backwards. So here's the printmaking project of the Bob Marley piece. So if it's backwards here, once we stamp it, it'll be forward on our project and we will be able to read that. Again, I think the video is kind of flipping it around, so I don't know if it'll be straight to you. I hope it is, but this is what your printmaking project will look like, just on a smaller scale. So those are my examples there. Once you have your ideas drawn out, and you've already talking to me, you're going to be receiving your plain linoleum. Once you get your plain linoleum, you're free to move forward and to do your final drawing and just shade in what you're going to be carving out. Students oftentimes want to carve the back out and leave the black, like basically creating a stamp. For the linoleum, and it's since we're going to be printing and pressing this, it doesn't really work like that, because if there's no structure around the linoleum, when I press it, it's just going to kind of curl into itself. It is a little flexible, as you can see. So yes, before we get started on the demo to carve as well as how to print itself, I'd like to go over some safety tips for this class. In this class, I have these wooden blocks that have been constructed. You're going to notice that there's a curb at the top and a curb at the bottom. You're going to lay this against your desk and use that curb to your benefit. So if I push against this, it's not going anywhere. When I'm working with my linoleum, so here's the one I'll be carving today, I'm going to put it down against the block. With my non-dominant hand, I will be pressing my linoleum against this curb. Therefore, with my dominant hand, I could always be carving away from my body. We will be carving with different types and different heads of blades. So that being said, we don't want to slip and accidentally hit our hands, our fingers, because even though it'll be quick, like a little paper cut, it's going to be a little deeper and it hurts. So we might as well be safe. So make sure you use the wooden blocks that have been built for you, and make sure when you're holding it, you want to put it in the palm of your hand and use your fingers as a guide. So this will help me scoop the linoleum where I don't want it. Again, I often see students working right here in front of themselves, and that's where you're going to get hurt. That's where you're going to slip. It may not be right away, but within the first 30 seconds, you are going to hurt yourself. So please use the block to your advantage. Keep yourself safe. Make sure you're pushing the linoleum away from you as you're carving away from you, as well as if you need to change the angle in which you're carving, please pause and move the linoleum to change your angle. All right? Don't change your angle within your wrist or the direction you're carving. Change the linoleum. Always carve away from you. So I hope that is enough to make sure everyone uses that. I hope everyone's safe. We're going to get going on this carving. So to begin carving, when you have your linoleum and it's ready and it's shaded in, mine's not because I'm cheating, but once it's shaded in and you know what you're going to be carving out, not on the wooden block, we have a hot iron here. This guy's been warming up for a while. We want to warm up the back side of the linoleum. We don't want to do the front because it could melt, right, a little bit. We want to warm up the back side of the linoleum. By heating it up, it's actually going to loosen up the laminate or the linoleum, so it'll be easier for us to carve it. As a disclaimer, I'm going to advise you not to warm it up multiple times. I would say you could do it about twice. Other than that, if it takes you, 5-6 days to carve it, which it should not, don't keep warming it up. The reason is the heat does break down the linoleum over time. So you could do it about once or twice to kind of help yourself out, but after that, you should not be warming it up anymore. Oftentimes I get students to ask me, how long do I need to warm it up for? My advice is warm it up to where you can feel the heat from the front. If you cannot feel it that well, keep going. If you could feel it, you're ready to start carving. So I'm warming this up. All right, this should be perfect. Oh yeah, okay. I'm just gonna get that out of my way for safety. I'm gonna do my block back. I'm putting my linoleum down against it. With my non-dominant hand, I will keep it at the back side of the project to remind myself to carve away, but as well, I'll be compressing it into the block. With my dominant hand, I will be placing the blade in the palm of my hand and guiding it with my fingers. When I am ready to start carving, I will begin. So I'm pressing with my palm down into the linoleum, and I am carving away from me, slowly. I am not trying to do this as quickly as I can. The beauty about doing a linoleum carving is once you've carved it once, you could print forever. So it's not like you're doing all this work for nothing. You can get hundreds of prints out of it, as long as you take care of it. So I'm carving away from it, same right there. When you slip, at least you slip away from you. I want to change my angle a little bit. There we go. Perfect. And it comes out pretty smooth because it's warm. You'll notice I'm tapping the thing. I'm just getting the chunks of linoleum that are leaving out of my view. So they get stuck in there. Maybe you could see that. Nope, it already fell out. Just kidding. So I'm just getting it out of my view so I can clearly see what I'm doing. All right, so I've already done one of my Tiki Guy's eyebrows. I'm going to continue this process and I'll be back when I'm done carving. Again, push away from you, push away from you. I'll be back when I'm done carving and I'll show you how we're going to be rolling ink and doing some printing. So I just realized I was doing that demo right-handed because statistically more people are right-handed. But I'm gonna show you a little bit as a lefty. So I'm starting to work in the crown, okay? And I'm starting to work on the brain. I mean the crown, like the head part of my Tiki Guy. So as you see with my dominant hand, now that I know what I'm doing, I'm compressing and I'm still pushing away from me, but when I hit an angle that I want to make, I pause and I rotate. And I'm still scooping away from me. When I get to where I want to end, at the end of the crown, I just pop it up and that piece of linoleum pops right out. All right? So I'm gonna work a little bit and then I'll stop the video and continue because it's unnecessary to watch me do the whole thing. Okay? Remember, if you're finding this like obnoxiously difficult, or it's not taking out as much as you'd like it to, or it's just going too little or too much, I have about 8 different types of heads for the blades. So if you'd like a change up, or if you're just curious, like, am I using the best blade for my project, please feel free to come up and ask. I would love to answer that and assist you further in any way I can. So I'm changing the angle of my linoleum. So I'm always carving away from me because it's not gonna be deep, I'm not gonna lose a finger, but it hurts, and I wanna avoid that. Again, take advantage of the fact that your linoleum is warm. Don't warm it up and then sit on your phone for 20 minutes. Because you can only warm it up twice, which I intend to warm it up once. So hopefully you saw a little bit of technique there. And as you can see, I'm moving quite quickly. So hopefully you feel comfortable with moving forward, and I'll be back when it's carved. Okay, so I'm officially done carving my tiki guy's head. I'm gonna put him off to the side right now, and I am officially done with this block. As you can see, there's a lot of trash lying around from the linoleum. So, block off to the side. I have my broom and my dustpan right here so I can clean this up. Okay. So I've cleaned that up. And now what I'm going to do is take the opportunity to show you how to at least run your practice prints. Once you know how to run your practice prints, your final prints are actually going to be the same exact thing, except you could use any color ink you want, as well as you can use any color paper that you want. So right now I'm just going to use a simple black ink, and I'm going to use some recycled paper just because that's what I have next to me. So when you're ready to start printing, you need to have your piece of linoleum. You need to have some pieces of paper handy next to you. There it is. You're going to need an ink tray. So there's ink trays available. And you're going to need 2 rollers. There are 2 different kinds of rollers. So one with the orange handles, the more industrial rubber ones. This is the one we're going to use to put ink on. The second one we're going to use just to compress. So this one's a little more simple. I'd like to advise you, when we're storing the rollers, we do not want to store them on the rubber side, because this is rubber. It can actually create a flat spot in the rubber. We want to store them on their handle. So I oftentimes see students leaving them in the ink tray like that. We want to just store them upside down, okay? So I will do my best to enforce what I am saying. I have some ink. This is washable ink. However, I would advise don't paint your t-shirt with it because it is washable. Especially white, it's hard to get color out of white shirts. Okay. So what's great about this is just a little bit of ink goes a long way. So I'm just gonna put a little bit down. Okay, I should be done with that. And I'm going to start rolling this around and dispersing this evenly. For this project, we always think, like, you know, when we're painting, oh, the more paint, the better. No. For this, a little bit of ink goes a long way. We just want a thin, light coat over our linoleum. So I'm rolling the ink out, right? So I have a nice, even coat everywhere, all over my roller, as well as all over my tray. No clumps. Oh, that glare actually helps. No clumps, no nothing. It's not gonna run or drip. It's not gonna fly off, okay? So I'm ready to store this off to the side for a second. Try to keep it within frame. Upside down, so I'm not flattening the roller. I'm going to use, because personally I don't like cleaning my tables unless I have to, I'm going to use a couple pieces of paper as a tablecloth. So if I get ink down or anything, okay? So when I'm ready, I have my block that's already been carved out. My tiki guy's ready to go. I'm going to place him on my placemat. I'm going to keep rolling my ink around to make sure I have a nice, consistent, and even coat. I'm going to roll it over my piece of linoleum. As you see, I'm rolling this multiple times. If I get a bad print, like there's some like little dots, or it doesn't print everywhere I want it to print, it's not a good print. I want the ink everywhere that I didn't carve, and I want it good, even, consistent coat. If I put too much paint, it's gonna kind of like squish around and create bubbles, and it's going to eliminate my design that I created. So a nice even coat. I'm rolling it multiple times. I want to make sure it's everywhere. Store the roller upside down. I'm going to show you just so you see. See how he's starting to come out now? Okay. So you don't have to lift it up and show anyone, but I roll my ink everywhere. I'm going to get the piece of paper that I'm going to print on. Again, it's just a recycled piece. I'm going to place the paper directly on top. And with the roller that we have not put ink on, I'm going to compress it. And I want you to make sure you compress all sides. Top, bottom, left, and right. If you do not roll it everywhere, it could not potentially press down and you'll get a bad stamp, a bad print. Okay? If you're more of a hand person, rub it with your hands. Okay? Then I'm going to peel it back. and enjoy my design. There's one print. That looks cool. These are practice prints, so this is an opportunity to see, like, if we accidentally didn't carve anything, right? Or if we missed a little spot that we should have carved. So if that's the case, you're gonna go wash this, just a little bit of water and rub it with your fingers. The ink runs right away. Dry it off and carve where you need to carve. If it comes out perfect and awesome, then give me one more practice good print. I want 2 in total, and you're ready to do your final prints. There's one thing I'd like to teach you that's a little trick. When you see something like right here, there's a little circle in the ink with a halo, right, around it, above the eye. That means that there's a piece of linoleum stuck on your print. And if you do not remove it, it will be in every print. So, right here is where I see that linoleum. So if I use my finger, I could wipe it away. If you do not remove it, it will be in every print. So I'm going to do one more good print to show you why we remove it. Hopefully it didn't just fall elsewhere. Again, I'm rolling my ink everywhere. Okay. Storing my roller upside down. Putting my piece of paper down. And I'm making sure that I rub everything. Top, bottom, left, and right. The whole design. Not a great print, but that dot above the eyebrow is gone. So here's where the dot was. There's no more dot. So make sure you remove those guys. If you see any specks of dirt, take them out. Hope you enjoy this video. I hope you love printmaking. Once you have 2 good samples that you can come show me, you're free to move on to the colored paper and any color ink you'd like. Remember, for your final project, you need to do a series of 16. So you need to do 4 by 4 on your final project. So obviously this one's much larger than you need to do, as you could tell. It's much larger, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 by 4. Once you have 16 prints, you're ready to let them dry, cut them out, and assemble them on your final project. Enjoy. All right, so welcome back. Right now I'm going to take the time to show you how we're going to assemble our final project for the printmaking poster. So as you can see up here, I have a large white piece of paper. When you have your 16 prints and each and every one is cut out, I'm going to ask that you come up and please get one. Be careful and cautious that you don't get ink on your fingers and smear it against your white paper, because you are getting only one of this. So I am going to show you, we are going to be doing a 2-inch border. Your measurement does not start at the beginning of the ruler. It in fact starts at the 0, and the 2-inch is going to be the largest line. On some rulers it is right behind the 2, and on other rulers it's right above the 2. So the largest line closest to the 2-inch mark. So this is my 2-inch mark. There are 2 purposes for a ruler. Purpose number 1 is measurement. So I'm going to start at the 0, measure 2 inches down and make a mark. Start at the 0, measure 2 inches down and make a mark. The second purpose for my ruler is to draw a straight line. So I've made 2 marks, 1, 2, hopefully you can see that. And I'm going to draw a straight line. I'm going to ask that when you draw your straight line, please do not make it dark. Please don't make it nearly as dark as I'm making mine. I am making my line dark so you could see it in the video as an example. But for your final, you want to make it as light as you possibly can. So if you accidentally went too far or anything, you could easily erase it. So I've done it at the top, and now I'm going to do it to the left. I'm going to measure 2 inches, make a tally, measure 2 inches, make a tally. All right? Okay. So here it is. Again, please make your lines as light as you can. Just enough so you could see it. So you're also going to need some glue sticks. So I have a glue stick here. I don't have prints, but I just have some cut colored paper so I can show you how we're going to be assembling this, final project. So I'm going to start at this like 90-degree angle. Okay. And I'm going to be laying down my prints. I want to line them up. Okay. And compress it down. as you know, the ink that we used on these prints is a water-based paint. So as the glue starts to soak through that paper, that ink is gonna get wet again. So once you rub it down in about 30 seconds, the ink will get wet. So be cautious and careful you don't touch the ink and then touch the white border and smear it. We want our final posters to look great. Once your glue is dry, your whole project will be dry, including the ink, and you could touch it and whatever. Okay. So I'm gonna continue this process. Right, so minimum you had to do 16 prints. So I need to go 4 out and 4 up. I'm sorry, 4 out, 4 down. So 1, 2, 3. Obviously yours will be cut straight, so line them up. And then 4. Okay. I'm only going to do 2 rows just to show you and kind of speed up this tutorial. So 1, 2, 3, okay, 4. All right, we're just going to pretend that those are beautiful prints as well as they are lined up and straight. So now that I have that, since I have a 2-inch border at the top and a 2-inch border on the left side, I'm going to create a 2-inch border on the right. And a 2-inch border from the bottom. All right, so this is why you wanted to draw your lines as light as you can, because anywhere that you've gone too far, you can easily erase them. Okay? So anything that's extra is going to be cut off. I don't need it. I just want a nice, even, consistent border. Okay? And then your last 2 steps are, on the lower left-hand side, I'm going to ask you to write your first and last name. And on the left side, the right side, I'm going to ask you to put the date. And voila! Once your project is done, you're able to let it dry and you're done. Good job, and I hope you enjoy the printmaking project.